Hello, everyone, and welcome back to one of these interview episodes of the SWW show. I'm Mike. Here with me, a special guest from, well, not too far away. To get us started, do you mind introducing yourself and the game we're here to talk about?
You bet. Hi, I'm from Vancouver. My name is Kevin Spees, and I'm the solo dev of the game RoadHouse Manager.
So, people who have never heard of it, what is RoadHouse Manager?
It is a combination of a couple different genres. It's a roguelite first off. It's a management game. It's a action simulation game, and also kind of a fighting game as well. It's a bit of a mix up.
So, like, when you started making this, did you have like a goal in mind, kind of like what you're aiming for? Obviously, when you see something like this, kind of thoughts come to mind. But I'm curious, kind of what was kind of your initial what was it you're trying to aim for?
For sure, yeah, This project really changed over time. It actually started as pretty much a completely different game. I'm also involved in the crypto space. So actually, originally the game was a Web3 crypto-enabled cooking game, and it was more like a dice rolling simulation game with blockchain-controlled assets that you get. And yeah, really radically changed over the course of the time. It was also my first real foray into Unity. Yeah, I taught myself Unity the first 6 months of the project. And as I developed my skills and as I tested the game out, it really started to change. And yeah, it took a huge change to leave the crypto components out of it, and then went to more of a roguelite model and developed into the game I have today.
Interesting. So, as it is a fundamental shift kind of there. So now, kind of, when you're looking at it and you try to explain to people, like, what is this game kind of, what is it you're kind of explaining to people? Like, if I said first 5, 10 minutes, what was it like you're doing in this game?
Yeah, the first game I usually bring up is Overcooked, and if the person knows of that game, then I mention Played Up, which is another game that's a little bit in the same kind of genre as my game. And yeah, it's a day-night cycle roguelite, and during the day you develop and upgrade your roadhouse, and then during night it's a serving game, kind of like similar to other cooking games such as Overcooked, where it's a bit of time management. You have to serve customers quickly, and then there's a fighting component on that because in the roadhouse, if the customers get angry, they start trouble. So you got to maintain order and bounce them out of the roadhouse.
It's all making those always sound like fun to me conceptually, but always that balance seems like super hard. Did you have like an aiming goal you're running for of like how hard you thought this should be for players while thinking about it?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to make it really hard. It starts off pretty slowly, but the roguelite kind of the probably like the longest game you'll probably have is about 2 hours, and that's if you have a really good run. And I want to kind of harken back to the old rogue games where you can't expect that every run you'll win. So you might have a run that's only about 10 or 15 minutes. And the first couple levels, it's not too hard, but it then quickly ramps up from there, and also relies on a lot of bonuses and upgrades that you find to really get you far into the run. So the main focus was making a game that quickly ramps up the difficulty, and one that you're not expected to win every time, and one that you'd want to kind of keep on going with the overall progression and try to survive all 50 nights of the game.
So real question then, because obviously there's always that fun transition period as a developer where you go from the best in the world at your game and then you slowly see that being slipped away. Have you ran into either during testing, whatever, people have either broken the games in different ways or tried these powers upgrades in ways that you didn't expect?
Oh, big time. Yeah, so I just last weekend I had my first public showing of the game, and that was at the Edmonton Gamescom, which is one of the biggest game conferences in Canada. So that was a really really good experience for me. So I had hundreds of players testing the game, trying it out, and let me know what they thought. And yeah, I quickly quickly discovered that there was a couple elements that I really needed to make easier to grasp for new players in my game. Because yeah, especially as a solo developer, you get so into the game, it's hard to keep kind of objectivity and see it through fresh. One huge issue that my game had was with the controls of serving beers to the left and right queues at the end of your bar. So you have three queues, and it's fairly easy to serve straight ahead, but to serve left and right, you have to move the stick a certain way and serve according to timing. And pretty much pretty much none of the people that playtested it could figure it out at first. So I learned some really valuable feedback like that, and especially on the controls side, how to make it a little bit easier to control. There's also the game's actually like pretty complicated as well. So there's always the challenge of displaying the needed information correctly, but not overloading the player. And that's also something that I got a lot of good feedback on as well. So I have to kind of more slowly introduce the major gameplay elements and what's going on in the bar, and kind of ease people into it a little bit better, I think.
That's interesting. So like, been thinking recently that like stuff I'm working on with like tutorials or onboarding people. What kind of, I'm curious, kind of first maybe was your general philosophy on that? Like, did you kind of try to give everyone everything at once, slowly onboard them, kind of, and like, how did the game shift as you kind of had to adjust that?
Um, yeah, so part of the issue was I made this first demo for the conference a little bit different than my planned Steam demo. My Steam demo has more slower introduction of elements and kind of more hand holding. But for the conference, I knew people were probably only going to play 4 or 5 minutes, so I kind of wanted to throw them in the deep end. But I kind of threw them a little bit too deep in the deep end because yeah, it was really difficult for um, like if I wasn't there describing, especially the controls, then I think people would have a hard time just from my control helpers on screen and stuff. Especially because the gameplay is really unique. It also takes like an extra challenge to kind of describe what the major goals are for the player and how to achieve them.
It's always interesting, I think, to me, kind of when you always see the like, what we all intuitively think works, and then kind of what you see people do that think works. Is that some?
Oh,
Oh, go on if you had a comment there.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's part of the problem just with being a solo dev is like, I played it hundreds of times, so I kind of know all the elements intuitively. But you got to introduce them to the player at like a good pace. If you go too slow, then people will get bored. But then if you go too fast, players get a little bit lost. So it's really about finding that balance. And with great feedback I had, I have a new plan for my upcoming Steam demo, where I'm only going to introduce like two elements per night and kind of take a slower pace, and then really enlarge the starting tutorial helpers as well. I'm going to have an extra character that will sort of guide new players. He's yeah a customer in your bar who will give you some help when needed. And then yeah, and then after the tutorial phase, players starting a new game will be able to alternately, like they'll be able to skip that. But I'm gonna have more of an extended early days, I call it, and then guide the player through each element and try to keep it at a pace that keeps it interesting but not overwhelming.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So obviously we kind of started this conversation how you said this game became more roguelike, and that's kind of been your big inspiration. To me, the big things with a lot of those games are functionally how like they kind of fall in one or two camps. Either there's a lot of like permanent upgrades, or it's more of like potential to find upgrades kind of in runs. I'm curious, kind of where do you fall more in those camps, either of like as a player, kind of when you're designing this, of kind of where you think this game ends up.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good balance between your player skill and the upgrades you find. Uh, a big component of the game is also collecting bottles of liquor. 'Cause there's 105 bottles in the game, and they're randomly generated at the game start, and each one has a different quality level. And yeah, collecting the bottles of booze allows you to make more drink combinations, which in turn have its function of impressing visiting VIPs. So yeah, there's an element of a randomization that I like the roguelikes, but I never want to have it uh, design a game where you feel like you need to find a couple upgrades in order to successfully win the run. You can always kind of make do with how you what you find in the run uh, and unlock things in a different order and still be able to succeed.
No, that makes kind of sense there. So let's kind of maybe jump into kind of a run, almost like mechanic. We kind of talked around that a bit. So kind of I'm jumping into a run. What does my 10-15 minute run kind of look like? Kind of almost like minute to minute.
For sure, yeah. It's a day and a night cycle. So you start in the daytime, and the daytime, different randomized vendors come to the bar that you can purchase upgrades for. And the daytime is made for stuff like building tables and then building some of the 75 upgrades you can get. So you have like a pool table or arcade game or a coffee bar, stuff like that. And yeah, depending on what you build, those enable certain power-ups that you can use during the night. So yeah, the daytime is a slower pace, and then the nighttime, when you're ready, you ring the bell, and then your night starts when the customers start pouring in. And for there, the nighttime, it's on a time basis, so you have a certain amount of time before this drunk alien comes and cleans out your bar. And the idea is to serve all the customers that you have for the night, and then that completes the night, and you can hit another button to go to the daytime. So yeah, the through the nighttime you have to serve them quickly. They'll order different kind of drinks, and you also have to make sure that you maintain order in your bar. There's a kind of evil boss who is on the second level of the roadhouse, and he watches over you from this window. And depending on how well you do, he'll send different various troublemakers down to your bar to cause havoc. Um, so if you just built like a new nice upgrade, he might send a guy to go break that, or he might send a troublemaker to start fights with your other customers, and through that he kind of reacts. So yeah, so that's the main cycle, and it develops from there. And the more upgrades you build, the better your vibe is in your bar. So you start to attract larger and larger crowds. And yeah, it can become up to 100 customers in the bar. So it kind of gets a little bit a little bit
I was like,
crazy
how do you
there.
manage 100 customers? Like, is it at the end of the day, it's just you do like that's a good example. Like 100 customers. How is a player kind of expected to run something when you get to like that volume?
Yeah, it's chaotic for sure. But it's doable if you serve them all correctly. So the customers come in and they line up at the bar, and there's three different queues on the bar. And yeah, if you get all the orders right and you're able to serve them quickly before they run out of patience, then the chances of trouble starting are pretty low. So yeah, it can definitely be a challenge, but it's possible to pull off. The trick is to serve all your customers really well and quickly, and then also if any of the troublemakers come, you have to fight them and throw them out of the bar. And to do so, you lower the like the trouble component in your bar, so you can kind of keep order. But it definitely chaos is the name of the game.
Like, so imagine I keep like What is like the most often I see troublemakers? Do you get to a point where like your bar can be so chaotic that you just always have troublemakers in that bar you start balancing kind of, or is there like what's like the almost like the worst case scenario almost for a player I can imagine?
Yeah, the worst case would be you can have a max of three special troublemakers in the bar at once, and they different ones fire off at different times. So the absolute worst case would be having multiple causing trouble at the same time. Some of the worst, there's a fire starter guy, and he'll go to the corner of the bar, and you get a warning that he's there, but if you don't stop him soon enough, he'll start a fire that spreads through the bar. There's another guy that's called the Animal Tamer, and he can go to this polar bear, stuffed polar bear you have in your bar, and he's able to animate the polar bear, so the polar bear comes to life and then trashes your bar. So yeah, there's also probably the most difficult troublemaker is called the Nemesis, and he's the evil boss's right hand man, and he's randomly generated at the start of the game, and he's a very tough fighter, and he often will come around your bar and challenge you to one-on-one duel, and he's probably the hardest fight in the game.
That's I can only imagine you're like in the middle of like trying to serve a ton of drinks and now you're being challenged to a duel. Is there
Yeah.
No, that's good. How long are you seeing players go like once they like maybe start and then kind of once they start getting good? Are we talking like these are 5 minute runs that turn into like an hour? Are they 5 minute runs that turn into like 20 minutes? What kind are you seeing?
Actually, yeah, I haven't play tested too extensively yet. Just the playtest on this conference just last weekend was the biggest kind of playtest I had. So I've only had a couple of friends beyond that play it, and they've gotten pretty far into it. Usually runs go about an hour, and it ends in a big bar fight, crazy barroom brawl that usually kind of causes enough damage that kind of ends your run. Uh, but yeah, the for the full game, it'd be probably max like hour and a half, 2 hours for a run, and that would be taking it pretty slow during the day. I think yeah, typical run would probably be probably 20 or 30 minutes.
No, that sounds like a great time. I usually get annoyed when like I've been playing some games where you don't have like long levels to them when I feel like those games should have levels, but like a run game you definitely have to find that almost like balancey sweet spot where like a player can go but it also doesn't feel like you get stuck doing it for too long.
Oh, that for sure. Yeah, and yeah, that's part of the reason why I kind of ramp up the difficulty after the tutorial goes pretty quick because yeah, I like that as well. I like some roguelikes I have that are run based and that they might take a couple hours even for a run. So in which case it's you know just maybe too much time I think, especially if there's a lot of meta progression that you feel like you have to do 10 runs just to unlock the character you want to play as or something. So yeah, I really like that the kind of the smaller like a high level complexity but a shorter runtime.
Perfect. Well, I gotta ask. So obviously we're talking about RoadHouse Manager. You currently wishlisted on Steam. What kind of is your launch plan? Obviously it says August here. Is that still what you're thinking?
No, I'm gonna have to push that back, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm really hoping for September, October. Um, yeah, I was originally when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I should be able to finish this in a year, but now I'm 2 years in, and I'm really far into it. I'm really kind of done the full-time production on it, but there's still a lot of I still want to get a lot more playtesting in and a lot more refinement and polish. So all the major stuff's done, but there's still a lot of tweaking for me. Um, but yeah, thinking of I'm really hoping to get a release in kind of the September October timeframe, and then coincided with the next Steam Next Fest as well to kind of get more eyeballs on it and more exposure.
No, that makes sense. You always have to find that fun when to launch type time. So obviously, as we said, games are Roadhouse Manager. Where else should we be sending people to make sure that they learn everything they want about the game?
Yeah, we can check out my Steam store page or my website at www.gameboardgames.com. And yeah, I keep that fairly updated. And I also have a Blue Sky as well. And you can just find that on Game Board Games at Blue Sky.
No, that's perfect. I want to kind of give you some time now. Is there anything on the game that you want to discuss that we missed? Anything, theme, mechanics, anything like that that you feel like needs to be discussed or at least shouted out? Kind of people might be interested.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's also a pretty extensive cocktail bartending mini game in my game. And yeah, so that was it comes in two components. The first component is a flair bartending. So you have to throw some glasses around and do some rotations, and the idea is to rack up a big score there. And then the second part is kind of a Balatro inspired combination game. So you have you have 105 balls in the game that you can collect, and each one has a different rank and a different color affinity. So you can combine drinks to make special house cocktails. So if you get three of the same booze types in a drink, it's worth more points and that kind of thing. It was inspired by poker. And yeah, then that really good drink wins over the customers, the VIP customers. So then they become permanent members of your bar, and those are the guys that give you resources every day. So yeah, through the course of your run, you want a lot of those VIPs, and then you get a ton of resources, and you can build your own dream roadhouse with all sorts of cool upgrades.
No, that's fun. Is there anything that drew you into like so when you make the drinks? Was there anything like you drew specific inspiration from, or anything mechanically that drew you to that system specifically?
Um, yeah, yeah. The flare element I thought was just kind of a fun system that I never really seen another game do well before. And it originally was kind of inspired by the Tony Hawk series in the way that I wanted to make combinations, button combinations, and kind of have a kind of fun trick element to it. And then the second half, the actual cocktail creation, was because I was played on Balatro a lot of the time, so I thought that was kind of a neat inspiration to go towards where there's a lot of potential for different combinations, and the player would have a lot of fun collecting bottles like they would Jokers and Blasho to kind of make their own custom drinks. So yeah, I yeah brought a lot of different elements to the game, and it's really unique. So yeah, definitely invite anyone to check it out.
No, that sounds absolutely great. Again, the game is Roadhouse Manager. You are Game Board Games. You go wishlist the game right now on Steam. We'll make sure to link out to all the correct other spots. Again, thank you for joining me today, and best of luck as you get to, honestly, only a couple months, even if it's the tail end of this year to launch. So I always like to tell developers, work hard, good luck, and make sure you get some sleep in there.
All right, will do. Thanks so much. It was great talking to you today. Cheers.